1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
How's it going, everyone? In this lesson we're going to be looking at the Miles Davis tune Nardis. This tune was composed in 1958 for the Cannonball Adderley album Portrait of Cannonball. The legendary pianist Bill Evans featured on this recording session, and he would later take the tune and use it in his own trio called the Bill Evans Trio. The first iteration of the trio showcased the incredible Scott LaFaro on bass and Paul Motion on drums. There are many great live recordings of the Bill Evans Trio on YouTube. I really like the 1961 to 65 lineup featuring Chuck Israels on bass and Larry Bunker on the drums. Israels replaced the original bassist for the trio, the amazing Scott LaFaro, after his sudden passing from a car accident in July of 1961. Unfortunately, there are no known video recordings of LaFaro playing with the trio, but there are several audio recordings. Israels played for the trio for 5 years, and in '66, Evans hired the true virtuoso Eddie Gomez, who remained in the trio for the next 11 years. For me, what makes the Bill Evans Trio stand out is the incredible interplay between the musicians. All members of the trio are reacting and responding to one another in a way that's very organic and spontaneous. The ensemble broke the established instrumental roles of the jazz ensemble. Piano must play like this, and the bass must play a purely supportive role. There was a great deal of freedom within the group to try different things, and switch roles in many ways mid-performance. Just listen to Eddie Gomez's bass line under any of Bill Evans' solos, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Check out the live recordings I've linked down in the description after this video. It's great stuff. Alright, let's get into Nardis. A lead sheet can be found in the 6th edition real book on page 296, for those playing along at home. So what have we got? Page 296, I say, huh? 296 of Nardis. The form is the standard 32 measures, AABA for each section, and each section is 8 measures long. We only have one sharp in the key signature, which tells us we're in the key of either G major, that's the usual key. But if we look at the chords a little bit more closely, we have chords like E minor and B7, and that sort of tells us probably not in the key of G major, but more likely in the relative minor E minor for this tune. So looking at the chords a little bit, the first chord is just an E minor chord. You can just play an E minor triad if you want there. Then got F major 7. This is the flat 2 major 7 in the key of E minor. And then we go to B7, which is the 5 of E minor. And then C major 7 is the flat 6 major 7. Line 2, we got A minor 7, that's the 4 chord. Back to the flat 2, F major 7. And then we have a little bit of a twist here. We've got an E major 7 chord. That's of course not at all in the key of E minor, but it's used just to add a little bit more color. And then go back to E minor. This E major 7 chord actually sort of helps to serve the melody. The melody's got sort of like a Middle Eastern-y sort of sound. It's based on the A harmonic minor scale, which is this one. That's essentially just all of the notes of the key of A minor, but we have a G sharp in there as well. So we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, and instead of G we play G sharp, and back to A. That G sharp note is the real essence of the harmonic minor scale. And the melody line that's played in that bar over E major 7 is this one, which is the top, I guess, 5 notes, 4 or 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4 notes of the A harmonic minor scale. The exact same chord progression is played again for the second A, and then we take the second time bar going into the B section. Before we look at the B section, it's important to note there's actually some hits. It's a term that we use in jazz. Sometimes they're called rhythmic hits. It's just a way that we play the chords. We play the chords with a certain rhythm is what I'm really trying to say there. So it says E minor in bar 1, but if you've listened to this tune, you will know that you actually don't play for the first 2 beats, and then you play these hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So you're playing like a dotted quarter note on the 3rd beat, and then an 8th note on the end of beat 4. And that 8th note on the end of beat 4 will be F, will be an anticipation into that F major 7. Same thing on B7, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And usually on the A minor 7 chord in line 2, we like to catch the melody note. It's like a counter melody on top of the other melody. So there's a line on top. If you have this chart with you, there's a D note that's held for a whole bar, and then there's like an extra counter melody that is on top. So we're going to play the root of A minor 7A a half beat late. So we're going to play it on the end of beat 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then you can just play your regular bass line from there. Finally, in the 3rd measure of line 2, we're going to catch the E minor chord on beat 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, just like that. Okay, same thing for the second A. Going into the B section, we've got more hits. So we're going to play A minor for 3 beats. I just like to play 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to catch the F major 7 on beat 4 of bar 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now for the 2, 5, 1 in C, for the 2 chord we're going to catch the end of beat 1 like we did on the A minor chord in the A section. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just going to catch that beat, that end of beat 1 into G7. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing that we had in the previous line. So that's the B section. We've got some hits in there. All the same hits that we talked about in the first A section are also present in the 3rd A section, the last A section of the tune. So that's pretty much the form wrapped up. Let's talk about some ways that we can play a bass line to this tune now. For a bass line, there are 101 different ways that you can play a bass line on this kind of tune. And what I mean by this kind of tune is, this is sort of a tune where you're not really expected to just play a 2-feel or, play a walking bass line. You can almost do anything you want. Make sure that you listen to lots of recordings of this tune, particularly by Bill Evans' trio, because the way that the bass player in that band plays, if we're talking about Eddie Gomez or Chuck Israels or Scott LaFaro, doesn't matter who we're talking about, they all play very interesting bass lines. They don't just keep to just playing a basic 2-feel, just playing half notes. Not saying you can't do that, but there's a lot of space and room to sort of open up and branch out and do all sorts of different things. You can play some counter melodies, you can play lots of different rhythms, you can play offbeat rhythms, you can play lots of syncopation, all sorts of things. You can play more than one note at the same time if you want to do that. So lots and lots of possibilities. Check out some recordings. That'll give you some ideas. But what I would typically do here is I'll start off really just playing a bunch of root notes and just mess around really in the key of E minor. And let me just play a little bit and I'll give you an idea. Okay, so there was a lot happening there, but I'm thinking about roots and fifths. That's one very easy thing that you can play. You can just play roots and fifths to pretty much all chords. Another thing I was doing was thinking about sort of playing like half steps into different notes of the chord. I think that was, at one point I was up here on the E minor chord and I was playing like half steps into the notes, so D sharp, E, A sharp, B, and then E. So I'm playing a lot of eighth notes, I'm playing a lot of half notes as well, playing off the beat, playing on the beat, playing up the bass, playing down the bass. You know, so many possibilities, but what I would probably say is an important thing to keep in mind is when you're playing the melody when the melody is being played, to not overdo it, to try to keep out of the way, you know. Make sure that you catch those hits that we talked about, and then just keep out of the way, at least for the melody. You know, when you get into the solo portion of the tune, you can definitely branch out and do all sorts of different things. In some ways, playing Nardis, it's almost like just everyone's taking a solo all at the same time, you know. Sometimes this tune does break out into a walking bass line. There's no reason why you can't do that. So I have composed the bass line for this lesson. You can head over to Patreon if you want to check that out. There's also the 2-feel bass line that was before it. So you can check those out to give yourself some ideas as well if you want something to practice. Before a walking line, let's talk about a few things that we can do there. So as I said earlier, a walking bass line is not really strictly necessary for this tune, but if you wanted to walk it, then here's a sample line that you can play. I'll play it at a fairly low tempo, and if you have your bass with you, then I encourage you to see if you can play along just for some sight reading practice. So here we go. Let's test out my own sight reading too, eh? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's break down what's happening with this line. From measure 1, first A section, just playing an E minor triad, just in root position. Root, third, fifth, and then back to the root again. And now F major 7, root, fifth, third. And on fourth beat, we're going to play A sharp as a half step leading note into the root of B7. Now the B7 chord, we're going to play the B major triad ascending, B, D sharp, F sharp, and then F natural as a half step leading note from above into the third of C major 7, okay? B major triad, half step approach to the third of C major 7. Root 7, half step approach B flat into the root of A minor. And now for the A minor chord, we're going to play the 1, 2, 3, 5 pattern, which is one of my personal favorite patterns to play, really on any chord, majors or on minors for walking bass. 1, 2, 3, 5. That's A, B, C, and E. F major 7, just F major triad. We're going to descend, so this is sort of F major in first inversion. Just going to descend F, C, A. In this position, if you're playing on the double, I like to shift during the open string A, put my second finger on the F again, so I can play the next E with my first finger. E major 7, I'm going to play E, B, shift and play D natural. This is not in E major 7, it's a D sharp on E major 7, but we're playing it fairly quickly, so I don't think it matters too much. That is on the third beat. D, D sharp, there's the major 7 part. And then root of E minor, A sharp, half step approach into the fifth, F natural, half step approach into the root of E minor for the second A. Okay, let's go on to the next A. We're going to go, that's an E minor 7 arpeggio without the third, if you want to think of it like that. So, and pay attention to the way I'm playing this. I'm playing the E all the way up here on the neck, and then I'm going to the open D string to shift back to the fifth, open E. 1, 2, 3, 5 pattern again. And then B, C, D, B. Now these notes, we've got C natural and D natural over B7. This keeps it in the key of E minor. It also gives us some sharp 9 and flat 9 notes, right? The C natural is a flat 9 on B7, and the D natural is a sharp 9. Technically, the sharp 9 of B is C double sharp, but I'm not going to write that. So B, C, flat 9, sharp 9, root. C, D, E, C. And now we're ascending A minor 7 arpeggio. And then approaching the fifth of E major 7. That's an E major triad in second inversion, ending on the fifth, right? So I'm going to start on the fifth, B, G sharp, E, and finish on the fifth. And then we've got to walk up on the E minor to get to the B section. Next is A minor triad for the B section with a pattern. Then we're going to shift and play root fifth. And then we're going to play this sharp 11, if you want to think of it like that. This B natural and the 2 on F major 7, leading into the root of A minor. So we'll play that again. That's more of a melodic line than it is a strictly harmonic one. A minor 7 arpeggio notes, root 7, 5, 7, and then F major 7 arpeggio notes, root 7, 5, 7. Same thing again for D minor, root 7, 5, 7. For G7, I chose a G major triad in first inversion, so putting B in the bottom. B, D, G, B, going up to the high C for C major 7, and descending the G major scale from C. Then F major 7, 2 passing notes into E. Drop an octave, 2 passing notes into F, F major triad, leading note into B, root 5th 7 root, root, 5th, 7, chromatic on C major 7. Now this is a 1, 2, 3, 5 pattern again, but I'm dropping the 5 down the octave. 1, 2, 3, 5. Now this next bit's F major triad with some leaps. Root, 5th, root, I'm going to shift. Sorry, let me do that again. Root, 5th, 3rd, shift, F. And now just ascending an E major 7 arpeggio and descending E minor 7 arpeggio. Open string and shift back to E. All right, I hope you enjoyed that bass line. If you'd like to download these bass lines, once again, head on over to my Patreon page. You can check them out. And thanks to my patrons, I really do appreciate all of you over there on Patreon. And now I've got about 90 or 91 patrons, so that's pretty cool. Always happy to see you guys there. I have to say I don't post as often as I'd like to, but I'm here to change that. So thanks for checking out the video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and have fun with Nardis. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care.